你下去就没的，that's like a little pussy move. Huh? Punch a kid in the nuts. Fight like a man if you're actually gonna fight a kid. Don't you think?
Bumble right there, huh?
My hands are gonna be right. I know.
A lot of these gonna be right because you've been resisting this whole time.
No, I wasn't. You attacked me first. I didn't do anything to hurt you. All I said was respect the girl. Because you said get out of my property, you piece of cunt.
Should have made the threat that you were gonna shoot me.
I didn't say that. Are you right? I said I'm gonna shoot you.
Get your fucking hand off me.
Get your fucking hands off me then. That's what I thought. You telling him get your hands off me? Get off me.
They already called the call. Call them on them.
Get off me.
They're grabbing a minor.
I'm 30 something. I'm only like freaking 13.
One shot.
Let me go. You're supposed to be my trainer. You know that. Let me go. Why are you freaking trying to be doing? You hit me. You passed me on the ground. I understand if you're a cop, but you're not a cop.
Yeah.
Who the hell do you think you are? Tackle me and freaking hurt me? Saying that I'm going to shoot you and I really didn't. I said I'm going to shoot you. Can't you hear?
You're not hurt.
Then why are you grabbing onto me still? You back up. You're the one who's hurting right here in front of you.
Hey! It's your wrong.
Let's walk it!
Vete a la verga. Chingue su madre. What the fuck?
Better. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to see. Yes. Okay, cool. Thank you. Copy on. Yep, we saw that, and there's a crowd on this one. I'm trying to work on getting the picture a little cleaner. You probably could move around a lot because I mean it's so far. You know what I mean? Hey, if you're watching on the web right now, thank you for, and just letting you know that we'll probably be doing something live here at the 8 o'clock on KCAL 9. So just a real quick, if you're just watching us on the web right now, this is a protest, Orange County, earlier this yesterday. A off-duty LAPD officer allegedly shot his weapon when confronting a young teenager out here in the Orange County, Anaheim area. You can see these guys kicking buses right now, you know, using their skateboards, kicking a bus right there. Okay. 15 seconds. Standing by. Well, Jeff Susie, just to get it right off the bat, this is going to be the intersection of Euclid and Ball, Anaheim area. This large crowd apparently was in front of that officer's home about just a while ago. Anaheim PD did arrive out there. The crowd, this large crowd, has moved away from that home and has now made their way into this major intersection. I think we have some tape from earlier on. There was a bit of a, let's call it violent confrontation between one vehicle and a couple of these protesters. Since then, we've actually seen them hit a bus, keep hitting a bus with skateboards. Now, this is the protest against that one LAPD officer that apparently, allegedly, yesterday fired a weapon while confronting teenagers in front of his home. Now, that officer, obviously, the wheels of justice have been turning, but this large group out here this evening has taken their matters into their own hands. They were in front of that officer's home. Then they made their way out onto the streets out here. You can see it's a very large group indeed, disrupting traffic. And sometimes we've seen confrontations between this crowd and then some of these vehicles out here on the roadway. Jeff, Susie? Well, I thought we were going to keep doing some other stuff with it. All right, if you're on the web and you're watching right now, large group, I would say that these are teenage and better for the most part out here this evening. We did see some adults earlier on with some small children. My guess is that those small children probably not in this crowd anymore or have moved off. The crowd that we're seeing has been confronting vehicles. They've been violent towards a couple of the vehicles. The city bus, we saw them trying to break out taillights. Unsuccessful, yet it's just the fact that they were doing it. Right now, the crowd walking back down Ball, that was, walking away from Ball on Euclid out here in the Anaheim area, walking between a lot of the vehicles out here. We have seen a lot of confrontation, or a few moments of confrontation. Nobody has gotten out of their vehicle this evening. They haven't seen the vehicles being used as a weapon, but the crowd itself, a portion of it staying out here at that intersection. Another portion seems to be walking back down Euclid towards the area where this started earlier this evening. Very large group indeed. Anaheim PD very well aware of what is going on out here. We haven't seen any of the officers trying to contain it out here right now, though the crowd itself seems to be walking around out here this evening. A little bit of a split between where they are, keeping an eye on what's going on at best we can up here. Right now, though, this crowd basically at the intersection of Euclid and Ball in the Anaheim area. I wonder if this group is going back to the guys. I think somebody's burning out. I think somebody's power breaking. Yeah, it's this guy. If you're watching on the web, you're probably hearing half of conversations. I'm talking with my pilot. When we ever see like a large plume of smoke like that, just making sure nobody's setting fire to anything down there. I believe that was one of the trucks in the backup that was actually just power braking around the crowd. The crowd's kind of split up. There's two different directions right now. Some of these guys are actually making their way up into this what looks like an office building. Seeing a lot of officers right now starting to make their way over here. These are the officers with the batons, and now it looks like they're going to start setting up a skirmish line out here. Going to try to keep these kids in one spot. There are not a lot of officers out here. Obviously, one officer can do a lot, but right now I think it's just the fact that they are just here. My pilot's saying that he just saw somebody throw there some more water bottles being thrown out there. I haven't seen any kind of retaliation between the officers right now, but definitely officers now here on scene. This is taking place on Euclid, very close to the intersection of Ball. Now there's another part of the group that basically had walked the other direction. We don't see where they have gone. Maybe they have rejoined this original group. Right now, though, a skirmish line is being set up. Anaheim PD here on scene. Protesters, young protesters this afternoon, being confronted right now by Anaheim PD after an incident yesterday of an off-duty LAPD officer that lives in the area out here in Anaheim, allegedly fired his weapon when confronting teenagers that apparently were disruptive on his lawn or by his property. Right now, though, the crowd seems to be that we saw was split off earlier. Now seems to be rejoining, becoming one large group out here. And we'll get this exact intersection. If it is an intersection, it is. We'll get that intersection for you. And it's happening out in Anaheim. You're watching this live from Sky 9 out here in the Anaheim area. Protests. Euclid, Ball, and I'm going to have to guess that that intersection, my map's not populating. This is, I'm trying to get the exact, my map is not populating, but it's very close to the intersection of Ball. They are on Euclid, and it is a street that tees into Euclid, very close to the intersection, like one residential block away. I'm trying to get the address, or the actual street name. Again, if you're listening to the audio right now on the internet, right now I was just talking to our assignment desk on another radio. We're keeping an eye on this best we can up here. This is actually going to be the Disneyland TFR. Since we're on the internet, you might be wondering why the picture, it seems like we are so far away. It is because we are so far away. Disneyland has a permanent temporary flight restriction going on there. My pilot is laughing at the explanation because the TFR stands for temporary flight restriction, but it's basically in place always. They keep us above 3,000 feet for the park. So that's the reason why we are up so high this evening, using all the might of our lens, trying to get as close as we can to watch what is going on down there. Right now, they have some civilian vehicles mixed in with the Anaheim PD. I have got to talk to a producer. Go ahead. All right, copy. And we're just going to do quick little tidbits, right? Just where they are now, what's going on. Yes. Paul. Okay. All right. All right. And then that hit's going to be just a quick one, right? All right. Hey, assignment desk. I'm guessing that this is going to be Palm or very close to Palm Lane, West Palm Lane and Euclid. Standing by, pictures only. Copy all. That is the news day. You can do orbits, I guess. I don't think it's going to make any difference because, yeah, and I don't understand why they're not just walking off. So you can see the majority of the group right there at that corner. We believe that's going to be Palm and Euclid, or Palm Lane and Euclid, very close to the major intersection of Euclid and Ball. A large group out there this evening, Anaheim PD out here with their riot gear, and they set up a skirmish line basically holding them at this intersection. Earlier this evening we did see them become very aggressive towards some of the other vehicles that, or some vehicles that were driving in the area, trying to smash out a taillight on a bus, using skateboards to try to break those taillights. Right now, though, you can see the officers out there, Anaheim PD, confronting a large part of the group. There was some water bottles being thrown earlier on. Now it's kind of slowed down. The aggression has kind of slowed down a little bit. Portion of this group has made it to the other side of that skirmish line. We're watching some of these other people out there in traffic with their signs coming up to some of the vehicles. But the deal is right now, stand by. I don't think it's getting any larger, but they have basically all conjugated out here at this one intersection. This is going to be Euclid and Palm, very close to Euclid and Ball. Now you can see Anaheim PD down there. The officers did get out with their riot gear. Right now the crowd pretty much in a standoff type of position. A lot more protesters than officers, I can tell you that. Earlier on we did see some violence towards some of the vehicles. We have some tape of that. There was a lot of traffic out here this evening on these roads. These are major roads out here in the Anaheim area. You can see a lot of the civilian traffic still stuck out here, making that U-turn, trying to stay away from that crowd. Anaheim PD down there right now. They stopped them in this area. You can see them out there being basically just standing in front of the officers. Haven't seen any aggression lately towards the officers. We did see some bottle throwing earlier on. This all stems from an incident with an off-duty LAPD officer that lives in the Anaheim area at a home very close by. Allegedly, he used a service weapon or a weapon and fired a shot at teenagers earlier yesterday when they were confronting a group in front of his home. This is the response this evening. A large group of teenagers out here on the roadways creating a lot of havoc. Live in Sky 2 over Anaheim. I'm Stu Mendel. Back to you guys in the studio. Doing the math. About 60 minutes on station. 60 minutes on station. Six, 0, 1 hour. 6, 0, 1 hour. Well, I'm unable to get on the Facebook Live and see what you guys' comments are. I'd really like to know. I'm being very honest about that. I did get a direct message about is this a riot or civil disobedience? You know, right now. Hang on, I got to go work. Go ahead. Go ahead. Copy all. Understood it. I get it. Got it. Right. Copy all. Copy all. Just getting some information. When I did that live hit just moments ago, to really clarify what happened earlier or yesterday, what sparked all this is there was a shot fired by an off-duty LAPD officer. The shot was not at the kids or whoever he was in a confrontation with. It was just a shot being fired. Unclear if it was in the air or into the ground, but there was just a shot being fired. He wasn't shooting at the kids. But the fact of the matter was that there was a shot fired, and that's what is sparking all this unrest right now in the Anaheim area. This is going to be at the corner of Palm and Euclid, very close to Ball and Euclid. Palm is a very small street out here. Anaheim PD out here in force right now, blocking that street, blocking this large group. The group itself kind of is stalled out. When I say stalled out, that means they've kind of come to a stop out here. I do see a lot of cell phones lighting up down there, a lot of social media going on this evening. The group itself, can't say everyone, but there were some confrontations with vehicles earlier on. Some of the guys out there with skateboards were running up to vehicles. We did see some contact where they were hitting cars in the intersection. And then one or a group of them actually were really going after a bus. Right now, though, the group is just at this corner right here. Go ahead, assignment desk. I believe this is Palm and Euclid. Palm and Euclid. It is 1 block away from Palm and Ball. Just getting more, just passing along information to the desk. Right now, though, the group is kind of just stopped out here. Just letting you guys know that hopefully we'll get some guys on the ground down there as well. We'll have more information, probably get it out onto the air at the 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock hour. We might do something still at the 8 o'clock on Channel 9. Right now, our chopper is Channel 9. We're CBS, but we're also KCAL. So if you're local, check us out. Turn on Channel 9. Got a lot of other great news going on. And then we probably will do updates with this information as well. Right now, though, large group, teenagers, mostly as we understand it. Earlier on when we got here, the first thing I did notice was 2 adults with small children walking out there. I have yet to see them again. Perhaps when the group got a little bit more aggressive, they have moved on. Apparently, though, this group, we didn't physically see it, but this is what brought us down to this location. Apparently, this group was actually in front of that home where that confrontation took place yesterday. So that probably is a very scary scene for anybody in that neighborhood. Nevertheless, that officer from LAPD, that's his actual home. So right now, the group had made its way out onto Euclid. We watched for a little bit as they walked. They got aggressive towards some vehicles. They took over an intersection. They started making their way back this direction, and that's when you saw these officers from Anaheim PD show up, and a couple of others have actually showed up since then, all with their riot gear. They've formed a line out there. You can see them. Earlier on, we saw some bottles being thrown. Right now, that has kind of slowed down. The group just kind of standing out here at this intersection. We haven't seen any violent behavior lately. Officers here on scene. The crowd just kind of stopped. Right now, some signs, can't read them, and that's because we are up over 3,000 feet because we are in the Anaheim area, very close to Disneyland. Disneyland has a flight restriction over it, so we have to be at 3,000 feet to get these shots. That's one of the reasons why we are up so high. Usually our pictures are a little bit better because seem to be a little bit lower. Right now, 3,000 feet above, so we've got some distance. Group kind of slowed down right now. Officers made a line, and it's basically just kind of a standoff out here on Euclid, very close to Ball in the Anaheim area. They're going to start doing the fireworks show. 9 o'clock. I'm trying to reboot my phone right now, just so if you're wondering why the camera's wandering off, sorry about that. Trying to get, it just has trouble loading. We are more than double the altitude where we usually are at, so not getting very good reception out here. I'm very curious to see what the crowds that are watching us on the internet right now have to say. Though this crowd slowed down, they're not moving around. The officers out here, they've basically stopped them at Euclid and Palm. You can see some of these other cars, the last of them making those U-turns, getting away from the area. And while that is going on, other Anaheim officers are arriving out here. Vehicles are pulling up. Numbers of officers are getting out. I'm sure that they're going to have a plan. They want to break this up or get this to disperse, I believe is the correct word. Break up sounds more, let's just say more harsh. Right now, though, it's very close to a shopping mall. There's a lot of civilians out here, a lot of property out here. Officers, they're going to be trying to subdue the crowd the best they can, get them to disperse and go home. Not sure how well that's going to work. Right now, though, crowd about the same size. I heard Jeff mention it earlier on, asked me if the crowd had gotten bigger. I think they're just all stopped in one area. Earlier on, they were a little bit more spread out. There was some of them on the road, some of them in the intersection, some of them on the sidewalks. Right now, they're all in one spot, so this is the size of the crowd out here at Anaheim. If you're just starting to watch, we're going to have more information on at KCAL. It's probably, if you're a local, that's going to be Channel 9. We'll be doing something at 9 o'clock. Might be doing something before the end of the 8. Not sure about that. Right now, though, the crowd just kind of slowed down and stopped. If you're just joining us, don't know what this is about, this is a large crowd that is out here angry about the recent confrontation with an off-duty LAPD officer that lives in the Anaheim area. That off-duty officer fired a weapon when confronting teenagers at his home. Yes, Paul. Just a quickie at 8:44. Copy. When that confrontation happened, there was a shot fired. Got to be very clear about this. The shot was not at a child. He discharged a weapon. There is plenty of, apparently, social media of that event happening. Right now, today, large group showed up in the neighborhood in front of that officer's home, off-duty officer's home, and they moved off after Anaheim PD showed up. We picked it up here on Euclid. We followed it for a little bit, got out into an intersection. We saw some unruly confrontation as some of the folks down there were attacking, hitting vehicles that were trying to make their way through those crowds. Right now, though, the vehicles have been moved off of the street. Anaheim PD out here in force. The crowd still out here as well. More officers showing up by the minute. And we'll see where this all takes us out here in the Anaheim area. All right, cool. Yes. Hey, Flood. Thank you. Thank you, man. It was cool. I don't know. It's just since we've been flying, whenever we see them, when we're at the right altitude, I've noticed it earlier on, and all the pilots know it too. Is rainbows are actually giant circles, and you just see half of it usually because of where you are on the ground. Sweet deal. And again, if you're listening on the web, we're talking about some footage we shot earlier today. If you're local, you probably already saw it. We had some awesome rainbow stuff, but we're getting ready to do another quick hit out here about the crowds moving now along Euclid. Large group being a little bit aggressive. 30 away, copy all. Seconds. Well, Jeff, Susie, take a look at this. This is the crowd that we saw earlier this evening. They are out here on Euclid. We know that they're out here protesting the confrontation between an off-duty LAPD officer and some teens earlier yesterday. Today they're out here in force. They've been out on the roadway. What you can see right now is Anaheim PD. This is happening on Euclid in Anaheim, very close to Ball. These officers basically stopped that group, got the civilian vehicles off of Euclid, set up a line right there, but now it seems like they're loosening up that line, and this crowd is starting to move again out here on Euclid, out in the Anaheim area. We have seen them attack and do some acts of violence towards some vehicles. Right now, though, it does seem like they're moving back down Euclid towards that officer's house. That's where this protest started earlier this evening. Live in Sky 9 over Anaheim, and Stu Mandel. Back to you guys in the studio. Oh, I should have mentioned they're on tactical alert. Probably goes without saying. That's the fire station where they were talking about earlier. I know that the fire department has moved their fire apparatus out of that building. We heard them talking earlier on when we were making our way down to this location. All right, so they're making a turn out here. We can get this actual street because we can read it, I think. I can't read it. I wonder if that's Polaris. I wonder if that's the road that he lives on. assignment desk. If you can give me the actual, how do you say this guy's street name again? They're back on his road. Most of the crowd is back on his road. They haven't got to his house yet, but they're back on that in that neighborhood. Like when two pirates want to talk about something. The street road, Palais. So the crowd right now working their way back onto Palais. This is going to be Euclid and Palais out here in the Anaheim area. This is the actual road where that confrontation happened earlier yesterday. Now the crowd working their way back in that direction. You can see some officers out here in this residential neighborhood right there already kind of stopping them, not allowing them farther back into that neighborhood. We did see some vehicles leaving as soon as that crowd made that turn. This is a portion, only a portion of what we've seen earlier on as that crowd working their way onto these people's homes and on their property right now as as Anaheim PD is being confronted by this large crowd. Something just happened down there. We are up at 3,000 feet, so it's difficult to see. Using what we can to magnify the shot so we can watch what's going on down there. Officers from Anaheim PD on tactical alert this evening, setting up that line right there, not allowing them farther down the street. Yet the crowd seems to be working their way into this neighborhood, and as that crowd keeps moving in, it's going to get very compact and hectic as they work their way. They are? There's a couple of them. Yeah, a couple of them are running past right there. They got, they got by. Don't know what that, what that actually is going to accomplish, but some of them have gotten by or running by right now. You can see some of that crowd right there. Most of the crowd is in this area here. There is a bright light down there. Don't know if that's a camera crew, but we definitely see that crowd making their way back onto Palais Road out here in the Anaheim area. That's where this all started yesterday. Some of the crowd still up over here with the officers. You can see the officers making their way back to their vehicles, wondering if they're going to redeploy out there in that area. Don't know right now, but I can tell you that the officers moving very quickly right now, maybe going back to their vehicles, maybe making their way over here to Palais where the officers set up a line in this residential neighborhood. Yeah, I have absolutely no internet at all right now. Go ahead, sir, go ahead. I will look. I will look. Yes. Yes, I do. One in particular that I am concerned about. No, that's the street. That's if they follow. Yeah, if they follow it down and go around the corner, that's them. It does. They're round, but it just they connect. I know. Yeah, we're up here. We're looking at this right now. I wasn't sure if these were actually going to be. Yep, there you go. these officers, they're starting to get a little bit outnumbered. They've got some people behind them right now. Very dangerous situation for officers indeed. They're being, they're getting it from both sides right there. Not sure where the other officers from Anaheim PD ended up, but obviously these officers out here trying to hold this line, trying to keep these this crowd at bay. Very dangerous moments for these guys, and also very dangerous moments for the protesters as well. If these officers start to feel that their lives are in danger, or somebody makes the wrong type of move, this could this could change very drastically in just a few moments. Right now, though, you have they've got the crowd basically making their way through that skirmish line right there. You can see them basically just walking through. They got through the other side. These other officers right now, they are just starting to set up. Obviously, they know what is going on. Unclear what their plans are going to be. Maybe just to get over to that home and just let this group make their way through there right now. Residential neighborhood, though, so you've got to think to yourself, if any of these other people living in this neighborhood, they're probably going to be worried as well. You've got these large unruly crowd right there in front of your home. Right now, though, you've got these officers in a line with people on both, with protesters on both sides of them. They're starting to move off right now, getting back out onto the sidewalk. You can see them walking off, the crowd jeering them on, basically going after them. But we're going to see where this ends up in a few minutes. You can see Anaheim PD out here. They're on tactical alert. They're following the officers, which is interesting in itself. They wanted to be out here. They wanted to go in that direction. Officers stopped them. Now that the officers are moving off, the crowd basically following behind them, working their way back out onto Euclid. You can see Anaheim PD out here right now. The crowd working their way off of Peleus. That's the name how I say it. And Euclid. Other officers out there on Euclid right now as they're working their way out. Peleus? Kaye? You always have to wonder what's going on when the crowd starts to run like that. You see that quick movement of a large group of people running. It's always something you just got to wonder what that's all about, what actually happened out there. Also very dangerous. There's always that kind of disbelief in my voice when I see something like that. If a large group like this actually starts running, it can become very dangerous situation. People get trampled. That's how people get hurt and lose their lives. And I'm talking about the protesters, not the officers in that incidents. When if this large group starts to run, people will trip and fall, and others will just run over them. Right now, though, they're setting up another skirmish line out here, basically bringing it to a stop once again. Anaheim PD is the one that is handling the situation the best they can right now. And we're just keeping an eye on it, seeing what is going on and how they're going to be handling this. I don't know. What kind of music would you like to hear? Danger zone. Copy. Are we going to just make this a quick one? All right, cool. Hey, Ernest, what's happening, brother? All right. Polaris. Well, take a look at this. They're out here right now. Anaheim PD, tactical alert. They have their guys out here. The officers have made a skirmish line. There's a number of officers, but a lot of protesters as well. You have that video, cell phone video from when this actually happened yesterday. This all started with an off-duty officer discharging a weapon around a group of teens that were in or on his property. Now you can see out here this large group. They were out here protesting in front of that officer's home this evening. Then they made their way out onto Euclid. The crowd itself has been a little confrontational. We actually seen them go ahead and make contact with some vehicles, civilian vehicles, earlier today. Now you can see some of that crowd running back down Polaris. This is the road where that officer lives on. Not sure if they are trying to run to get away from the officers or perhaps making a break towards a different location. But this is a residential neighborhood. Anaheim is the city, and this large group out here continues to mess with the officers. Officers continue to try to round them up best they can. They have cleared all the civilian vehicles off of Euclid. Earlier this evening, there were a lot of cars out here, and there were some confrontations between these protesters and some civilian vehicles. Right now, just a lot of water bottles being thrown, a lot of confrontation going on out here. Have not heard of anybody being detained as of yet. Anaheim PD trying to round this up and make this into more of a peaceful situation. Right now, though, it's just a lot of havoc. Live in Sky 9 over Anaheim, I'm Stu Mandel. Back to you guys in the studio. "35 minutes. Assignment desk letting you know 35 minutes. 35 minutes. John Wayne. John Wayne. Gabriel. And we're taking a look here at a lot of the comments. I finally got some internet, and I'm getting to read some of this stuff. It's very interesting how it is so polarized, the comments out here. But I can tell you that this continues. It's a very serious situation, a very dangerous situation for anybody involved out here as well. Right now, we just see a lot of bottles being thrown, a lot of defiance towards law enforcement, but this all could change very drastically and sadly could become very, very violent. Right now, though, it seems to be more of a standoff. We're going to be making our way out to go get some fuel so we can be back